exactly as for every other organ transplant. There are people who would just willingly donate the organs of their loved one.
If he thinks that a head, where the neural system is, wires basically for entire human body, is just like any other organ, body organ, you know that he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. But if you look at a spinal cord and look what that looks like, the intensity, the density of neural system that goes through that area, neck area, let's say. This is like computer, that's a brain, which is then connected to every little millimeter portion of the body that accepts the signals and sends them into brain. Computer, basically, is what this is. I'm going to simplify this for you, okay? Just let's imagine for a moment that you work on the computer and you acquire through the internet for the certain information, okay? Think about how it works, how the information is processed. Well, this is the single information we are talking about. And when it comes to the body, that's really complicit, that's like really, really sophisticated. Not only computer, but actually the system that integrates into the computer that is located inside of the head. So now you have all these fiber optic cables that are running from every millimeter, actually send information from every millimeter of your body into brain and so on. And now imagine to connect all those cables, to be able to connect them properly so that information could properly travel and so on back to brain area and stuff like that. Now stuff like this really is not possible, and I think that's for good, that's for us, for benefit of the humanity. You know, we have already so much criminality going on, and imagine something like this would be possible. I don't really know what would happen. We already are toward end of the existence. If you guys ever looked at the single nerve, of course we have all kinds of nerves in the nerve system. However, they typically look like a tree branch. And from that tree, from that nerve, that is extended further into another tree branch, and so on and so on and so on. And you have all these branches connected to the neural spine. That's what these three branches are connected to. And this neural spine goes into the brain area, brain, where a computer is. So you have three branches on your fingers, all over your body. You have these nerves, three branches that dance into nerve cords that lead toward spinal cord, and that's where they again go into the tree branches, like, and that's how they connect to the spine cord, most dense, let's say, neural system that goes straight into the brain area, into computer, body computer, basically. Now, if you would compare a spinal cord with, let's say, tree butt, you would get an idea almost what is about. But still, tree is nowhere even near as sophisticated as spinal cord is our computer system we have in the body, we carry in the body. But you can get just a little idea, what's actually happening, what is inside of that spine cord. Imagine we're flexible, we can feel everything, we can move, we catch gravity, we walk, we do things, and so how are you going to create something like this? I mean, how are you going to go and play God? I mean, how? Got fiber cables that are going straight into the brain. And do you think you can replicate something like this, that you can actually connect things like that? Well, I mean, that is just, I'm going to tell you, nothing more than utopia. You're just fooling yourself. This individual knows very well that anything like this cannot be performed, that he is far as the day when he started all this. But, you know, for 15 million, he will do it. And he might even do it for somebody to experiment on, you know, to give him false hopes. So at least that individual, you know, is going to go. Obviously, a desperate person will only do this. Will go on operation table with idea, with a hope, you know, to enter a better place, a better world. And it certainly is much easier to leave this world in such ways, especially if you're suffering in a body like, you know, Spiridonov does, you know, or elderly Bush.
So it goes exactly as for every other organ transplant. There are people who would just willingly...
Yeah, you see, the thing is that if something like this would be possible, and we would have, obviously, then capability to further multiply, right? There will be probably a new human races and creatures created if this would be only possible, because this goes into a DNA issues, this goes into stuff that I guarantee you with a 100% will never ever come through, because we're never ever going to come anywhere even close to what God is. We can play, we can pretend to be gods, but we are not gods. God is only one. You know, He's saying with a 90% certainty He will succeed. And He plans to have one surgery, of course, in December, which is quite crazy. 90% chance.
Larry Spiridonov is on a mission. The 30-year-old Russian who has a degenerative muscle condition known as Werdnig-Hoffman wants to become the first person ever to undergo a human head transplant.
The chances of this working are 90%. Of course, there is a margin of... The chances of this working are 90%. Of course, there is a marginal risk. I cannot deny that.
This is a mad talk. This is a stupidity. He knows. He already knows this isn't going to happen. It's just that you know, he gives a hope to elites, and this is what I'm going to go next to. He gives the hopes to elites who have lots of money. He makes money. And, you know, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to take hope from Spiridonov away from him. If I were in his place, and I'm thankful I'm not, you know, I would have done the same thing. I would, you know, I would go for it, because at least when you die, especially when your condition is worsening, even in the condition that he is, when you die, you know, you died during belief that you went to a better place. So he's going to go on operation table with idea that we'll get rid of his crippled body. So I don't know what else to say. I'm sorry to be honest, brutally honest like this, but you know, stuff like this that was used to literally life-threaten me, abduct me, throw me on an operation table, and basically cut my head off and have one transplanted on Spiridonov, and what this later on have had turned into something else. It did turn into this here. No, I did not click the wrong button. I did click the right button. totally right button is what I clicked at. Was brought because of the obvious reasons that I already have stated. Was brought to Bush on his funny farm, Texas, where his mom and his father met me. And then Grandma jumped into my face and made face like this, I'm telling you. Quite similar to this one. Can't say it was exactly this, but it was quite like this. And have asked me pretty much the same thing as George W. Bush asked me, to marry his daughter. If I would do something like this, how much this would make her happy. And then Grandpa did the same thing. And I was threatened. He threatened me, Grandpa threatened me, if, well, the first was George Bush, who told me about his plan on how he's going to save his father that is going to live forever with a head transplant and stuff like this. And then Grandpa became a kind of funny, and he started to, came up with idea, like if I would do this and if I wouldn't do this, right? If I wouldn't marry her, and if I agree that in that case, it would be okay for him to receive my body. This is kind of a humoristic, funny way, but when you see the stuff like this, it's not really so damn funny. Okay, you think I'm kidding around? I'm not. Barbara Bush is not even George Bush's daughter. They claim that she is a twin with Jenna Bush, but this is not quite truth. It looks like, and this is what I was suggested also under MK Ultra by a team of Scandinavians that were here. They have traced her DNA to be related somewhere to Italian Tuscany, Firenze area, maybe somewhere in that area, something like this. Her mom is French, Swiss, German origin, but George Bush, well, it doesn't look this is her dad, her real dad. Yeah, and sure, if you do look at the facial differences between Barbara and Jenna, they're totally evident. And this is why George Bush came up with the idea that with Berlusconi, that I would be definitely a very good president for the Italy, because Italy would get Slovenia, George Bush would get good position in Italy in case, he would fortify himself politically, give himself a little more image, prestige at the world stage, political stage, and I would be definitely well controlled, etc., etc., and things cannot possibly go wrong. Basically the same thing as are happening with other Slovenian politicians that are subjected to forced integration with right next to Italian politicians, something to what we witnessed today is taking place. Regarding Lulu Club, Netanyahu, this is just 10 minutes away from Buckingham Palace. Buckingham Palace is right here, and Lulu Club is right here. Boy, is slow this internet. Lulu is right here, and walking distance 11 minutes from Buckingham Palace. Berlusconi came up with the idea that if I would lobby, campaign for the Italy and so on, Veronica Berlusconi would, when the two would divorce, she would get I don't know how much money for it. And folks, all this shit is crazy. It sounds that he will give her to me. So I would get, according to Berlusconi's logic, an old lady and a bunch of money. This is how in his head was, that's how his logic operated, if I like her. Yeah. And you got to admit, what it might sound to you, this like totally effed up, totally insane story that never ever was in the history that somebody would give alimony of 60, I don't know, million euros or dollars or whatever it is back to her ex-husband. That just didn't happen. And that shit happened. So when I did change the political pole, when I twisted, when I no longer saw Italy as some sort of friend, and Germany and so on, but rather enemy, he did his part. Very good. Now we're going to go to the neighbor here across the street. Berlusconi used gypsies as a transport between the Rome, between the Italy and Slovenia, because the gypsies have established a route between the Balkan and Italy. There is like enormous minority of gypsies in Italy. There are a few here also in the city of Novo Mesto, and they were able to connect. And as effed up as it is, Berlusconi have excellent connections, I understand, with the gypsies in Slovenia too. With the gypsy network, it's a mafioso, gangster. He used them as a transport of me. Before you know, okay, before you know, this gypsies, they had me in, I'm going to give you a account about my neighbor right here across the street. And he said, well, he said this because he wanted me to say, he wanted me to go here and say, oh my God, he did this and 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 this to you, to this, and then, you know, expected me to repeat after him if something like this, if I would do something like this to him. This is how they brainwash me under MK Ultra. If I would do something like this to him, do you think not he would come the next day and shoot me? And look, they have done so many and so many things to you. And so this is the kind of shit this neighbor garbage here across the street have counted on, that I'm going to come forward and say, oh, well, you know, he did this and this and this to me, and there you go. Or we're going to write down that he is very dangerous, this neighbor, and so on. And the truth is that we have done this, and so now the best way is to just get him out of here, and so on. Okay? So he and the friend of my father, who oftentimes was used as a transport between the Germany, Austria, and Slovenia, have organized like a really, really funny party. Took me to gypsies right here. It's in this direction toward Shinterne. I'm sorry that I'm trying to Scotian area. There is also gypsy settlement. And there's another one here called Žabjak. And so this time they took me over there, and they had me over there with the gypsies. And I had no effing idea what these gypsies were doing with me, what the hell was going on. This guy just left me over there. Then they brought me here, and we got into mentality, this kind of mentality, how this is going to be, and it's going to all end, and I'm going to marry with the gypsies, and I'm going to be the F out of here, just like in that movie that you have seen. Yeah. And here, right, the neighbor here across the street, you know, he would just stay here and live basically a normal life and things like that, right? This was one of the scenarios. Then another scenario was that involved informant, police informant, undercover police officer, which unfortunately I have to say that when I arrived here to Novo Mesto, and that shit just never ever happened to me. I did not. I was from Italy with these gypsies. I was so drugged up, so messed up from these drugs. I no longer knew. I no longer knew. I know they have done something to me sexually. It must have been done something sexually, as I was. I have actually shown homosexual tendency in me, which was totally unheard of for the first time. And it was this police officer, this informant, who said, "There were gypsies, believe it or not." And this gypsy here, right here from Żabiak, appeared to be also homosexual. And this was exactly in continuation. I'm gonna play you the tape. That is exactly the same gypsy have appeared. My father took me to the store, and they have created, like, simulated some sort of another threat, like hijacking threat. And before I get to the audio recordings, since why initially I started this video, I just want to stress a few even more crazy, more insane issues. Throughout the torture in Texas, on a funny farm in Texas, USA, of course I'm referring to George Bush and his family. George Bush have used, when he terrorized, when he threatened with all kinds of issues that would, I believe, steer out of mind any normal person and leave that person in a terrible trauma, shock. Also, some sort of electric device. He would, in fact, present me with an issue which would be really, really depressive, you know, abusive, would gain traction of issue, you know, get acknowledgement from me, would follow reactions from very closely how I get things that are explained to me. And then what he would do is he would gradually imply some sort of electric device, although I don't know what that could possibly be. But I know, I have noticed that throughout MK Ultras with him on his funny farm USA, I would get pain, my brain would hurt. It would literally hurt. It wouldn't be something that, you know, that it would, it's hard to explain this, something that would, it just hurts. It would be just pain that would just grow and grow and grow, and it would hurt. Literally, it would hurt. And I did caught him, or somebody else who was with him, the people who were with him, to have something, some sort of device, something which they have attached to my head, and then they would remove that thing, like, you know, act as if it is so only an issue like this they have presented me with. Barbara Bush Jr. was not really happy with me. I was definitely not her type. She was here in Novo Mesto, and I was also, we also met in Italy, under MK Ultra. I'm not saying in real time, I'm just saying under MK Ultra. But these are not hallucinations. She was not happy with me. She have dated other guys and have kind of threatened me. Look, you know, this and that. She was not happy about it at all. I'll tell you that. And Bush, at a later stage, have suggested me that later stage, this was already toward the end when it started with Barbara Bush, 2005, 2006, suggested me that if I also agree that Barbara Bush would have on the side a child with somebody who would be according to his taste, Aryan, Nordic Aryan, something like this. Therefore, also want to mention that the first time when Bush met me, George Bush under MK Ultra, it was in year, I believe, 99, 98, 99, and when he first met me, that was before he became a president, he was very disappointed about me. He came with I noticed that there were a group of people, they came, and he was, I very well remember this, and he was like, yeah, it was, and that's him, and look at me, and he was like, he wasn't happy with me. He really inquired, and told me, well, you're not what I expected you to be, white enough, but we're gonna do it. We will do it because of what they say and this and that. We will do it. No, that doesn't matter. That means that if I connect this incident with later stage incident, which the whole process was used for totally other issues. It was used, and I'm no longer going to say to lure Russian politicians, Putin in it, but instead for the Russians to act under pretense of being caught by McCain and so on. In reality, McCain and Putin were and are in bed with one another. This whole thing is nothing more than the neo-Nazis and fascism, and you're going to see if I'm right and if I'm wrong. You're going to see Putin was in bed from very beginning and is in bed. The only thing that they wanted to do, the Russians, they want to find a way on how to convince, I shouldn't say convince, but how to clean up the top of the Russian government and prepare one for what might actually even follow very soon, because there might be a thorough cleanup of the Russian government. I remember Putin was telling me over and over and over again about how he is cleaning up his structures, government structures, to ensure that everything would go according to the plan. So Putin was deep in bed with them. This was basically American-Russian operation. They only needed a scapegoat, somebody to sacrifice for their crazy fucking ritual. I don't have any other words for this. So, Barbara Bush was not happy with me. Her daddy was totally unhappy with me, but he would do anything in this world for Slovenia to become part of Italy, and even more to grab Russia by the throat. Did Barbara Bush had a child with some other guy already? Well, she might actually even have one. I don't really know. Who knows? What do we know about these people anyways, other than, they disappear for like a year, 2 years even, and you don't know, you don't see, you don't know nothing about where they are, what they're doing, this and that. Million things are possible, okay? So I know that I am not good enough. I know that Ben Domenech was not good enough for Meghan Markle, but I know that Ukraine and Russia are priceless to the neo-Nazis. They want one badly. Another thing I want to say to you is that regarding my mom, the neighbor, Sonia Kotar, exactly, to be exact, was the one who had brainwashed my mom That's how my mom became brazen. And I'm going to say disgustingly brazen. I'm going to say obnoxious with her challenging, bullying, post MK Ultra attitude. When she wanted to, like, it was like she wants to prove herself with, you know, challenging an individual. And became such, never was before like that. Because of this neighbor, Sonia Kotar, who told her, exampled her old Barbara Bush mom from George Bush, you know, how smart that she is. She looked like a hawk and this and that, and that how brazen she is, and it's good to be brazen, that this is a stimulant and so on. In reality, this Americans were fucking laughing their ass off, and we're just anticipating something bad is going to happen here and stuff like this. My mom would never figure out that she was just a crazy tool surrounded by lunatics, maniacs. Daughter from my sister. From the beginning, I understand she protested, but I somehow cannot see to that as her future husband, who became her husband, was totally involved in MK Ultra, in transportation, in transporting me from the US to Slovenia and so on, engaging here and back and forth. I already have talked about that stuff. Have questioned and challenged me even about the Barbara Bush, if this is what I really want. And the Bush's farm in the USA. Is this crazy? But what I'm going to tell you next is even more insane. I love children. I'm going to tell you, I adore children. And because we had a bad relationship, you know, I just didn't want to have anything to do, not with the children, but their parents. And I didn't want to come close, approximate myself to these children and so on. I just didn't want to come close to them, anything like this. And so finally, you know, these children, somehow, you know, we get close. And so I love these children. The children love me. The thing is that she told me that father from George Bush, so George H.W. Bush, have provided Slovenia, actually that he have assisted Slovenian government with obtaining a method for selecting, I don't know, look, if I would have time enough to play with these things, to research this stuff online, I would, but so far I didn't. I will. I'm just gonna say that, not that there might be, I was already suggested this is the way it is, that in the US they already have engaged big time in a method which is used to, I don't know, to select, to create combination between the eggs and sperm, which in this case obviously will be a selection of sperm, I believe. So those could produce, as crazy as this might sound, whiter children. There might be a chance, there might be a procedure, there might be a way to obtain, create some kind of combination. Like I said, I apologize for this. I'm going to look into it. I know this time I sound like amateur, but the truth is I didn't have time and I have to still complete so many videos. I'm going to look into it, I promise, and we'll follow up on that issue. However, they claim there is a way to produce, to select almost what kind of children you want to have. I'm not going to say what kind of features the children want to have. That's possible, to select through a combination of sperm and eggs, fertilization, artificial fertilization therefore, but there might be a method that exists that actually proves there might be such a fertilization that allows people to choose to literally pick in a sperm portion of the sperm that would produce whiter children or something like that. Definitely, I'm going to tell you that daughter from my sister, I'm not going to say it's impossible. She could almost produce children like this with her husband. But I deeply wondered about them, if from the beginning, if these children were their children, to be honest with you. For things to be more disturbing, if it gets more disturbing, I'm just trying to explain to you what the fuck is this all about. She told me that it is my fault that she have undergone this kind of procedure with her husband to produce this kind of children, which is totally fucked up. Number one, for me personally, the best way is the natural way. This is what I like. No way would I go and conceive children that, through some kind of artificial procedures. I consider this as a total lunacy. Okay? I think that this is not the gift to your wife, girlfriend, like a little éprouvette. Honey, here is, I don't know, this is what we're going to use, and your eggs, and that's how we're going to do it. I frankly don't know, what to say about this. To me, this is not acceptable. Let's put it this way. If it works out, if there is a chemistry, fine. If there's no chemistry, then, better not have anything to do with one another, is how I see it. The main thing is that if you're not happy with yourself, I think you're representing like a great threat to the world. Okay? I am in total shit for what they have done to me, but I'm totally happy with myself. I'm totally fine with myself. Bush wanted me. Bush actually anticipated for me to state this news. That there's so good many things that Bush this and that. Well, the bottom line is that this is not what he have accomplished. This is what scientists have accomplished. It's not even released yet in news media. And the second thing is that, as I have stated, to me, this is a pure lunacy. I would not mind at all to adopt child, because I love children. I love them, and it's a pleasure to have adopt a child. Why not? I mean, practically, when you think about, there's really not a difference. It's your child or not your child. If it's a child, it's just a child. I mean, we are from the same family of creatures. I mean, people, human beings is how basically I see it. However, I would, that if my partner would say to me, would suggest to me, well, honey, you're not enough white, or whatever. So, what we're going to do is we're just going to use, this kind of procedure for us to have a baby. I would say, F it. I would say, go ahead and just, find yourself somebody else. A second thing is you don't even know if that sperm is yours. Like I said, these children don't even look like their parents. Um, to me, this is a very, very serious mental disorder, mental sickness. It's also depicts a lack of self-confidence, not only of being satisfied, happy with yourself the way you are, but it also represents to me as some sort of insecurity, something that, what could possibly be more insecure than a creature that God hath created and totally disbelieves in himself? What kind of a creature, excuse me, the fuck is that? I mean, seriously, what is that? It was suggested to me that this news to be released along with Barbara and Jenna Bush, and also to remind people that, I don't know, that twin pregnancies, whatever, went up since 80s drastically from, I don't know, 10 plus something, 13%, so got 30 plus percent, something like this. And that in the United States of America, they already were doing, were heavily performing this type of procedures. Okay, I don't approve of that. I think this is sick. I think this is bizarre. And even more bizarre shit is that the people like this that, that have done shit to me like this, the most crazy, bizarre shit, they have tortured me so severely, done this kind of shit to me, are totally abnormal shit, would want me to see such a crazy, abnormal things as normal and accept the responsibility, drag the responsibility on myself, as she suggested. I did that because of you, because you made me feel this way and that way. That's bullshit. That kind of stuff is the stuff that, this is for the mental hospital type of stuff. This is a mental illness. That type of mentality thinking is a mental illness. And so this is basically how I see it. Bush told me, when you're going to see those children, and you're going to remind yourself of me, and you're going to be thankful to me, this and that. Well, fuck you, Bush. Prospect of what I have talked about, also individuals who have insisted on this news, and where this is heavily utilized, I understand, also was Benjamin Netanyahu, or if you like, in Israel. It was something that appealed to him tremendously. This news, as I stated, this goes along with Benjamin Netanyahu, and it was something that, Netanyahu is totally fascinated with. And, it's damn sad, it's really, really sad that, if you try to, as a culture, as a nation, to be a culture nation, whatever that you want to be, have your specific facial characteristics, physical characteristics, maybe, I don't know. Why is, I was thinking about that too. Why is it that, I mean, Germans have murdered, slaughtered, so many Jews? Well, this guy is actually fascinated, I guess, with Germans, the way the Germans look, the way the Scandinavians look, and stuff like this. And clearly, he's unhappy with the own Israeli people. Yes, I don't know. This is a question for the Jews. I don't care. I'll be honest with you. I don't care what Jews do. I don't see it their way, as you know. I don't like it. Anything they go for, but I'm just really disgusted that, I'm disgusted that anyone, for that matter, would, go and use, you know, claim such a, you know, that kind of stuff, and then basically kill that, you know, what he claims that there's something special to Jews, and basically kill that through, you know, through this kind of procedures and stuff like this. To me, this is, the whole logic, the whole concept of this thing is just totally nuts, insane is what it is. But yeah, in the US they're doing, but because they're doing this shit in the US, doesn't mean that the rest of the world have to go nuts, insane as well. I don't know what else I would say about that. I don't think even the parents like this should have children, because parents like this are danger to the children. How the hell are they gonna, you know, what the hell, you know, this is a very, very severe mental sickness. I mean, you know, that child is gonna grow up and is gonna look mom, dad, and he's gonna say, mom, you know, he's gonna ask himself, mom, dad, I don't look like you. You know, he's gonna ask, so maybe, you know, am I your mom, dad? And then one day he's gonna see on the TV this kind of procedures were done and stuff, and he's gonna say, fuck, he's gonna turn around and he's gonna see other children like this, and it's going to go into a total sickness. I mean, it's going to go into total insanity. What's going to be? I mean, these children, what's going to happen next? Who are they going to, you know, you understand what I'm saying? I mean, this is a lunacy. This is a complete lunacy. I'm not fascinated with one. I think that parents like this are irresponsible. They shouldn't have children. They're dangerous to the children, to the society, to everything. This is messed up, totally. I think there is a counter argument to my argument in respect to this.
Ja sam tiho i ne govor meni da te još jedan taj.
Tam je parkirplac. Ne moram denar, lahko jutri na občine, na občine za stoj, povedati.
To je prav, da nas isto parkirajo.
Da naj parkirajo?
Gledamo.
Ok, pa bo pa plačal, je tako.
On pravi,
Gre, ker se ti je zdal, da pa se da vmes, ampak če je tako v redu, ne služba.
Grem tam reči, da naj pa isto parkirajo, pa me poskušajo postavijo.
Kaj pa?
Tiste police.
A ja, kaj?
Ker ti pravi, da itak ne more.
Ja, to je najbolj. Ali pa če bi taško pokušal, pa taško rekel, nam je domov pela. Od tukaj do doma je 10 evrov, lahko da bo več postalo po 10. Če ne, se pride. Ok, ne. Okay. Pa bi šli pa mi rajš noter, da spet uvedeti. Ne tle vidimo.
Let's go to the purpose of this video. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a comment here and then, like the one right now. Other than that, it's going to be translated. I'm going to give you a translation, basically November the 8th. This is pretty much how my life was. It's amazing. Now my father is over 80 years old, and almost nothing changed despite all that brainwashing they have done on him. I deemed that he knew exactly what he was doing for specified reasons which I have stated previously. But this is just really the way it was. It is still. In the first part, not me violent or something like that, but somebody else really. In the first part, we arrived to the furniture store Yisk on November the 8th, 2017. And my father starts cursing as we arrive there. There is no parking space. Now this is a big parking lot where there's plenty parkings. You can park on numerous places. Like you have no problem to park the car. But he starts stressing on us that we fucked him. Excuse me on my language. Me and my mom, we fucked him. That he came back and now the parking spot is gone and it's because of us and stuff like that. I eventually go, when we step out of the car, I tell my mom, I suggest my mom, I said, Mom, I'm gonna get me a cab. And you know, it was just 2.5 kilometers from our house, and I'm just gonna get me a cab and he's gonna do the transport of furniture for me. And this is just, it was just a organizer, you know, like organizer, 2 meters long organizer, and I think 40 centimeters wide, maybe something like that, and 2 meters, a little bit taller than myself. What is 2 meters? Maybe that's what, like 6.5, 7. I'm 6, maybe 7. Logically, that if you place, Mom disagrees with that. She says no, that's going to cost even more money and so on. And so we don't even know what to do with it. We come to arrangement that store is going to provide for us the transport of the furniture home. And as we get to the dock, to the loading dock in the back of the store, my mom tells them, well, you know, this and that. We have an old driver with us. It's not going to be. They're trying to convince us, hey, this isn't big. This is not big. The car, it's not, I don't know how big, but Volkswagen Polo it is. And easily that type of piece of furniture can be transported with that car. You know, all you got to do is just lean one vertically. So right in the middle, to the middle console, and put the back seat down, the rear seat down, and go. That's all there is to it. And everybody tells us, yes, you can do it. You don't need anybody. He told us that when I purchased that in the store, at the loading dock. But we keep convincing these people. We say, no, we got, please, it's okay. Please arrange that for us. And the store does that as a courtesy. You give them, I don't know, 10 euros and they bring you that furniture. But, you know, they're saying, well, you're going to save yourself money, this and that. Anyhow, my father comes and he starts honking outside. Okay, that was the first time. As we talk with my mom to this workers at the loading dock, he started honking. Workers, there was a lady, blonde lady, comes out. She looks at me like that, kind of a scared, and really father pops up there at the loading dock, all nervous, and agrees. Eventually he agrees that we're gonna take that furniture with us. Now the furniture is about, I think, 30 or 40 kilos or something like that. So as I try to place that furniture in the car, you know, store worker helps me, and we push that furniture inside of the car through the middle console, position one horizontally like this, flat like that. And you know, I suggest him, I say, it's not going to work like this because it's, you know, the dashboard takes too much on the dashboard. It's going to be difficult to for him to, you know, maneuver steering wheel. So I changed my mind and I reposition that piece of furniture vertically, so like this. So it takes less space at the front console. Now, put the back seat down, and my father get all pissed off because this is just you know, I don't know, a drill, his drill. My mom sits in the back of the car, but it's got a very little space to sit because now the back seat is down, and so what I do is I push the front seat, my seat, forward. But now I'm 6, and as I try to sit inside, I can't sit inside of that car. I don't fit in there. You know, it's just, I'm too big. No way I can possibly sit inside of the car. And father already started cursing big time when me and worker, when we try to place that piece of furniture inside of the car, father starts to curse. It's raining outside, and he just starts to make a circus over there. The workers, the people over there, they are totally paralyzed at this time. They just watch like this, and they get scared. They just watch. They're paralyzed. The truck comes. The door is open. The truck comes on the driveway. He's trying to get into the driveway, but he can't because the door is open and I can't get inside of the car. On the front seat, I just can't get. I'm 6. And father is just bending over there, bitching, calling me names, cursing in front of everybody, yelling, psychotic. And so finally I push enough seat back that I can actually squeeze myself inside of the car. Now you may want to see this, hear this I should say. Then there's like a little video that actually it was, I had enough and I pulled the camera out and I started to record also because he started to complain that he was the one, he did not have enough space to even drive the vehicle. Fact of the matter is that he sat inside of the car. Now he is about, I don't know, maybe 5, something like this. He's about like this. Sits inside really, really comfortably like this, and is complaining about how he can't use the gear, how he cannot shift. And I actually record the whole thing, how he actually comfortably sits inside, is shifting and cursing me and mom and that we fucked him and I don't know what and this and that, and is blaming on me everything, that I fucked him, that the furniture was already inside, and I don't know, you're gonna hear that stuff. Eventually we come on a driveway at home, and I jump out of the car. I record how much place I had for me to sit inside. Even when we drive, I'm like this. And I go to the trunk and I record that as well and go on the other side when he steps out, and I quickly record where exactly also how much space he had for driving. Luxus, he had the luxus, total luxury for driving, more than plenty enough space to drive. Me and my mom were like this inside, could not even move, not hands, not legs, as we had the furniture was like this. My mom actually, when she moved the furniture would hit me like this. You can hear inside in my head because I have position one like this, vertically.
Two angels in brought